Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast. It's the podcast where we had digital discussions, the worlds of pop culture, social media, sports, and hockey, of course. As always, I'm your host, PD Beats. You know me as Peter Meliodas, but on Twitter I go as PD Beats. My guest this morning or afternoon is the Director of Hockey Programs with the Sensplex Facilities with the Center of Sports and Entertainment with the Ottawa Senators. We're with Bryan. Andy, welcome to Popternative.
Thanks, PD Beats. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Kind of a little bit of an icebreaker, because I understand that you played hockey as well, but when did you kind of decide that being involved with hockey development was something that you wanted to do as a full-time job? Was there kind of a point in your career coaching or playing where you're like, yeah, I love the idea of kind of developing programs and making, kid programs or youth programs like better and bigger? Like when did that kind of become an idea for you?
Well, it kind of probably goes way back. I mean, yeah, I played hockey since I was 3 years old. So I played, various levels, competitive, even when I was younger, playing at some house league levels up to competitive levels and throughout. And it wasn't long. It was while I was still playing the game when I actually started coaching for the first time. I think I was 16 coaching as an assistant coach with a team of 14-year-olds at the time. And really, kind of started seeing that I had a passion for, helping people to get better and, like throughout all levels of minor hockey, just doing it kind of as a pastime and as a volunteer role. Then in terms of doing it professionally, I started with the Senators in 2001 and I've been with the Senators organization ever since. But about 3 years into my career with them, we decided we were going to open the Bell Sensplex, our first Sensplex facility. And so I had the opportunity to take, my education, which had been on the business side of things, and my personal life experience, which had really been on the hockey side of things, where I had, having coached and played throughout and really, been a massive fan of the game. The opportunity to go over and help manage our first Sensplex facility was too good an opportunity to pass up. So I was able to transition into that role. Started opening our facility and helping out a little bit on the program side of things, but mostly working with all the tournaments that we were bringing into town in Ottawa. And that was really, we opened our doors December 2004. Mm-hmm. A few years after that, as we expanded and grew, then I had the opportunity to begin to manage the full programs department with our adult leagues and all of our Ottawa Senators hockey camps and skill development programs. Mm-hmm. And really ever since then. So, the interest has grown as the experience has grown, as you get more into it. Continued to coach, as a non-parent coach for several years. And then having two kids myself, I've really gotten into coaching on their minor hockey. That gives you, even another totally different perspective at it when, you can try to look at things as a parent would in terms of, what minor hockey players need and what you think they need. But then when you're actually a parent yourself and you're looking at your own children and you're hearing what other parents in the rink are saying, mm-hmm. You really it just takes it to that next level in terms of you realize how important it can really be. Mm-hmm. And, working with some great coaches along the way and having the ability to impact so many thousands of kids in this role is just something that I really, really love and am passionate about for sure.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, Ottawa Senators hockey programs. For people that, don't know about the Ottawa Senators hockey programs, the Senators offer a wide variety of youth and adult, skill development, hockey programs, leagues. Like there's so many of it. Talk a little bit about kind of goes into kind of the day-to-day preparation of these programs and talk about kind of some of the things that you've seen in your kind of, I believe like with the Sensplex as director of hockey programs, it's been 10 years. but you've been with the Sens for 17 years.
Yep.
But talk a little bit about kind of some of the changes and transitions. But like, give our listeners and our viewers a little bit of a description of some of the programs that are offered.
Sure. Well, there's a lot there. So you mentioned, in terms of what goes into day to day. Into day to day is having the most well-trained, passionate group of staff. Like you've got to have. I mean, all our events, when we're talking about hockey programs, especially when they have to do with minor sports, kids are in school during the days, so you've got to be. Our programs operate in the evenings and weekends primarily, a little bit of before school, but mostly evenings and weekends. So you've got to have a real passionate group that's ready to spend all day planning and then spend all night, executing and making sure they're knocking the ball out of the park for all the kids and the adults that take part in our programs. But what goes into it, I always say with any hockey program that we run is like any, or tournament or league is like any event. It's a lot of event management, and it's, I'd say 95% in your planning and your preparation, and then 5% in your actual execution. And the planning side of it that goes into it is obviously, making sure you got quality features and quality people to run it. But that you're, that's going to be, in our case, the hockey program, stepping on the ice with kids, we don't take that lightly. So, they need to be incredibly well trained and well coached and well mentored while they're doing that. And they need to be the right kind of personality of people to go in and, capture the attention of a group of kids or an individual. And then, to really, really push them in a supportive way to help make them better. In terms of, some of the things that I've seen change, there's a couple big things. One is the game, and you don't have to look much further than, a player like Nikolai Ehlers with Winnipeg right now, or obviously Connor McDavid, the most dynamic player in the world at this time, where you look at their skills and, the individual skills, their ability to make plays at a high speed, their agility is something that is just has totally taken off. And I think it's through parents and kids spending more attention to the finer points of the game and really developing skills versus you can teach somebody to play the game of hockey at the age of 13 or 14 years old if you want, in terms of tactical stuff or in systems and actually how to play the game of hockey. But from a skill perspective, that's something that you really got to start working on from when kids are very, very young. And so many people are offering great programs, not just ours. They're great programs that give kids a high number of repetitions of working on really challenging skills and really skills that much better. So I'd say the biggest change is what a truly skilled, fast game it is now. Mm-hmm. And that comes from a lot of people doing a lot of, spending a lot of time on running programs like we run.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. One thing that I find fascinating specifically about, the Sensplex Facilities and the Ottawa Senators hockey programs is the amount of tournaments that are hosted and put together by Center Sports Entertainment. It's insane, quieting down a little bit now, but every weekend, Richcraft, Sensplex, Bell Sensplex, there's a tournament. So many teams, so many parents. What do you think are some of kind of the factors specifically for tournaments that make a tournament memorable?
Yeah, first of all, all the tournaments that we host of the ones that we do host, we're very privileged to do so in partnership with a lot of great minor hockey associations. Anything that runs during the season is Canada sanctioned events, either through the Ontario Women's Hockey Association or Hockey Eastern Ontario. And you touched on it. You said it's really the experience and making memories and whatnot. Like I, as a minor hockey coach myself, and now with two kids, actually both of whom are playing in a tournament today as we speak. I've got my daughter's little Sens team in Quebec City as we speak, and my son's Maple South Hawks team running out of the Bell Sensplex right now in the Little Sens tournament. And those are two great tournaments that I've seen that really focus on the atmosphere around things. Like you want to build up the hype. You want to have, like some of the heart pumping music that's going on between stoppages and pumping the kids up during warm up and getting the fans, getting their parents and family members into it that much more. When you see them in the stands and they're that much more excited with the atmosphere that we're able to create. Mm-hmm. We had a group of professionals that really care about, we've got guys guys and girls that will work in our penalty box and be playing the music and doing announcing and really put a little bit of extra oomph into things during championship games and building that hype and excitement, creating a great atmosphere. We're fortunate to have two incredibly beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities that we run these tournaments out of. So, you can't replicate that atmosphere where you've got at any given time, you've got four pads going, you've got 8 teams on the ice, you've got 8 teams waiting for their next game, you've got 8 teams that just got off the ice. So you got 24 teams all in the building at one time and all the parents and kids. So that atmosphere is electric just by being in a 4-pad facility with an exciting tournament going on. Mm-hmm. And then things like attention to detail. We don't, one of the things that I think really separates the tournaments that we run has to do with thoughtful scheduling and, making sure that we're bringing teams in if teams are coming in from Toronto or around Quebec, around Montreal, upper the northeastern United States, they're not coming in and playing against teams that they play during their regular league. So we're looking into their records, we're seeing who they play, we look at their league standings, and then we're giving them matchups that that will be competitive for them, but all be interesting. And then we've always proud. It's maybe a small thing, but shout out to a former tournament coordinator of ours, Christian Gagne, who's worked in a bunch of different roles in hockey, and I think he's with major junior hockey now in Quebec. But he brought in our customized Ottawa Senators brand that everybody they're the envy of every kid that comes in the building and isn't fortunate enough to capture a gold or a silver medal. People are constantly asking about how they get them, and I'm like, well, you gotta earn these ones. Like, it's a special thing. They're big, they're Olympic weight medals, and that's a special thing too. So atmosphere, prizing, attention, scheduling, and staff really that care. If something's not right, they're going to deal with it.
And as you mentioned, the wide variety of programs that the Ottawa Senators provide and offer. Summer camps right around the corner. But like what I find interesting is we talked about tournaments, and what I find interesting is tournaments. Every tournament is going to be different in terms of the branding of it, the and also the teams, the level. That's gonna be different, but there is kind of like a great formula that's put together every week weekend to put together these tournaments. So there's that. But what I find interesting is we also offer leagues. We offer adult and youth leagues where are all year long, and that also I find is something completely different in tournaments, because a tournament, one weekend and then it's done and you move on to the next. But we also offer, leagues that run for a long time, and I find that interesting as well.
Yeah, I think the leagues are no different than any other program in terms of they're an event. They just run over a longer period of time. Like, you still want to have people that care about the job that they're doing and are making as thoughtful a schedule as possible for them. Having that atmosphere, even whether it's our 4-on-4 and 3-on-3 Hockey Canada sanctioned youth leagues that run in the spring and the summer. There's music going on for the kids. There's a good atmosphere in the building. Adult leagues, music and announcing, and again, thoughtful scheduling wherever possible. And I think the leagues are not much different than a tournament. They're just extended over if it's an adult league, it's extended over a 7-month period. If it's a youth league, it's over 2 or 3 months. But not much different.
So you answered my question, because I was going to ask if you think that, preparation wise, if there's a lot of differences, just because there's so many tournaments that run every week, right? And basically tournament happens, Gold Rush happens, Gold Rush is done for the year, right? Whereas, the 4-on-4 leagues, run, and there's also tournaments for that. It's just incredible the amount of programming that is offered at the Sensplex facilities.
Yeah. Yeah, we have, in our development programs, so everything under the Ottawa Senators hockey programs brand will have over 10,000 participants from the Ottawa area. And you think about it, there's 22,375 minor hockey players in Ottawa, and we're going to have 10,000 of them take part in our programs. Now, some of those are repeat. Obviously, we're a repeat. There's a lot of people that will do multiple programs over the course of the year. But just to give you an idea of scale, it's 10,000 kids in our various programs, whether that's our weekly skill development programs that run during the season to really help. I mentioned the skill game, in kids aren't often getting enough time to work on just the core skills and advanced skills, depending on their level, during their regular team practices, where they're probably spending a lot of time doing a little bit more tactical type stuff. So we have those during the season. Obviously, the hockey camps are a huge part of it. We'll have over 2,200 kids in summer hockey camps over 9 weeks between our 3 Sensplex facilities. So there's 10,000 kids in those programs. And then on the tournament side of things, we've got, over 2,000 teams. We will have over, almost 50,000 guests that will come in, as players in our tournaments. And that's not even counting family members. Like, with well over 2,000 teams in our tournaments, close to 50,000 is there. And adult leagues that host about 4,000 players a year. So, scale-wise, if you play hockey anywhere near the Ottawa area, you're going to come in contact with a Sensplex tournament, Ottawa Senators Adult Hockey League, or an Ottawa Senators hockey program.
No, for sure. And my last question before we wrap up is, it's kind of more of a general question, but what are you, like, there's so many developments and so many things that change, social media, on ice, like even on ice stuff. There's all these new, techniques and methods for hockey development. What are you kind of looking forward to the most in the next couple of years in terms of what's going to be changing and what's going to become evolved? Because there's so many things that are constantly changing, Andy.
I love watching a minor hockey game as much as I love watching an NHL hockey game, and seeing how skilled some of the kids are. And I think I mentioned some of the changes of being, like, when you look at Adam McDavid, and I used Ehlers as an example. Kyle Connor going with the Jets right now, another example. You look at a guy like Mike Hoffman in Ottawa, or Carlson in Ottawa. There's so many dynamic players right now who really have spent time on the skill part of the game. And I think, I mentioned that as being a change. The biggest thing I'm looking forward to is watching it continue to change. Like, I think you're going to have more and more players that are in the game that are able to make breathtaking plays at high speeds. And that's just, so exciting to watch. And as I mentioned, you can watch it in a minor hockey game. Watch my son's team of mostly 6 and some 7-year-olds. And there's a couple kids there that absolutely blow my mind. And it's no secret how they are that way. They've done some of the extra skill development programs, and obviously there's some natural abilities that they're born with, but they've refined them with some great programs. And it's, I get excited watching a group of 6 and 7-year-olds when you watch some of the plays they can make, and then finish it with a breathtaking deke or a bar down goal that I don't think you see too many kids make that way 20, 30 years ago. So
for sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, Annie, thank you so much for joining us on Pop Turn. Well, joining myself on Pop Turn. I really appreciate it. We've been wanting to do this interview for a while. We finally got it done.
There you go. You nailed me down in a Winnipeg hotel room.
Absolutely. You mentioned it throughout the episode, but what should we look out for in terms of the Sensplex and the Ottawa Senators hockey programs? Where can we follow? Where can we keep up with what's going on?
Yeah. So anything that we run in terms of these tournaments, programs, the website is sensplex.ca. And in terms of things that are coming up, we've got a tournament we're really excited about that's presented by Sherwood called the Canada Day Cup, that runs obviously over the Canada Day weekend, where every single champion that comes out of that tournament is walking away with a quality one-piece hockey stick. And our summer 4-on-4 and 3-on-3 youth leagues are running out of both the Bell Sensplex and the Richcraft Sensplex. The spring ones are well underway right now, but the summer ones run over about a 6-week period, starting first weekend in July through the middle of August, right before some players will get into tryouts and sortouts and that kind of thing. As just really fun options. Those are leagues that have no coaching. It's just kind of like organized pond hockey through the summer. So it's not like that high stress where you talk about having kids being time off the ice. Mm-hmm. It's a really low stress environment where they just go out and have fun.
Perfect.
And then I mentioned the summer hockey camps. We have 9 weeks of camps running. 9 weeks camps running from the first week of July through right before kids go back to school. And there's some really cool new camps that our team and I have created this year. An extreme stick handling camp, ultimate speed camp, which is a lot of the same kind of Connor McDavid-like type of moves that we're putting kids through. The dominant defender camp, like some new hockey camps, and all that the detail on those, again, sensplex.ca. under the summer hockey camps menu.
Perfect. Well, Andy, it's been a pleasure, and all the best for the rest of the summer with all the programs, and snap our fingers, and then fall tournaments and fall leagues are going to start as well. So
You got it.
it's going to be crazy. Well, this has been Popternative. You can catch previous episodes, Popternative, youtube.com for the video versions. You can listen as well to the audio only on Libsyn, iTunes, Spotify, wherever, popternative.com for other content. Be sure to keep in touch with everything going on with the Sensplex Facilities as well and their hockey programs. Until next time, this is Andy Bryan and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter